Okay, I think we're live now. We're gonna just pretend we are. If we're not, then we'll be a bit late, so that's fine. So, hi Lee.
Hey Natalie, how are you?
Good. How is it going?
It's going good. Handstanding on the rims of hell, but there's no other exciting place to be.
Good. We like being on that edge, risky place, don't we? It's more fun.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm excited to be talking to you about everything, but mainly your new app, which is launching really, really soon. So before we get into it too much, do you just want to introduce yourself a little bit more so that my audience can get to know you a bit better and let us know what's your story, what's going on?
Sure. So hi everyone, my name is Lee Hazzard. I am currently the co-founder and CEO of the world's first video-only dating and relationship coaching app, Unavine. I've pretty much been an entrepreneur most of my adult life, mostly failures and the occasional wins. I started my background in the music industry, working as a producer. I did that for 12 years, working with a variety of labels. Halfway through that tenure, I did some volunteering in a youth center, teaching young kids how to make music on the laptop. And that just started off as a weekly evening session and soon blossomed into a business, delivering accredited courses to schools, colleges, universities. I had a team of 25. We worked in every borough in London, won awards. Amazing business I ran for about 8 years, parallel to the music career. So life was good. 2010, bit of a double whammy. Both businesses just went south, and spent the next 7 years trying to find myself, trying to find out what that next step is. I noticed that I've always been into community building in all my businesses. I've always been about connecting people, and coming across the idea for Unavine, it just felt like that 7 years was everything I was working towards in this new company. So yeah, whistle stop tour of me.
Amazing. I think every successful entrepreneur has had a shit ton of failures. Like, it's just
That's
how it
pretty
works.
much standard, right?
Yeah.
Like if that's not your expectation, it's gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen that? There's that meme, like that thing on, I've seen it on like Instagram and Facebook, and it's like the life of an entrepreneur, and it's like, oh my god, I'm so good. Oh my god, I'm failing. Oh no, this is actually working, and it's literally just like going up, like
Yeah.
success, failure, and then you get to the top, and you're like, okay, now I know why that all happened.
That's my life per minute.
Every second of every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love that. Cool. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about Unavine.
Sure.
You know, how's it going for one? What's the story behind it? And is there a personal connection there between you and that business goal that you've got?
Yeah, sure. So Unavine was conceptualized roughly 2 years ago. So I was consulting for a software company, and during the last month of the contract, they literally had no work on. And I was sort of just sitting at the desk board, scouring the internet as you do when you're being paid to contract for a company. And I was dabbling with e-commerce at the time, and I was looking at kind of ad strategies and static images versus video ads. And then randomly, no apparent reason, it just popped into my head, why aren't dating apps using video? And that, yeah, it kind of stuck with me for the day. So I reached out to a few friends and told them the idea. What do you think of video dating app? And they said, that's terrible. It's creepy, it's weird. You'd have to get prepared before you go online. One friend said it's the worst idea you've ever come up with. So I left it at that. It was a terrible idea. Life goes on. And then literally, fast forward, I think it was about 9 months, we come into a pandemic and everyone's on video, including dating apps. They're starting to incorporate a lot of video-rich features. And it was just at that time, I was like, you muppet, why didn't you just trust your gut? But anyway, I felt like there was still space in the game. And so whilst your kind of Tinder, Bumble and Hinges were introducing video calls, I thought, hang on a sec, why don't we make this a completely video experience? Because then you get to reduce the catfishing, the awkward first date. So usually, you know, if you're going on Tinder, you've got a text, you got to swipe, and then you meet the person on the actual date. And then it could be that awkward situation within seconds, you know, this isn't going to go anywhere. So we wanted to find something that was transparent, it was convenient, and it allowed you to connect with someone a lot quicker. And I think what the dating industry hasn't done a good job of recently is coming away from personas and getting people to meet real people. So I felt like if I create a video only experience, we could really stand out in the market. And then I think where we really knew we could disrupt the industry was to introduce content and coaching. So again, the industry has kind of followed this experience of swiping, but no one's really helped people become better daters. No one's helped people become the one to find the right one. And so we found a really good niche in this space that we're developing now. And it's been well received. You know, I definitely feel like this is something that people are really wanting to experience, because I think there's a level of self-awareness that's taking place now in society where people are starting to invest in themselves. They're a lot more reflective on their own inner self. And so I think we've hit a really great intersection to meet that need.
Amazing. That's so cool. How exciting. I think like video is just such a good thing. Like I've been on all the apps like in my past, and like I've been on quite a few, not like I'm not like a serial dater, but I've been on like quite a few dates with people from apps who I've literally like got on with them so well at the when you're messaging, and then in person they're just literally like not the same person. Like not everyone's like that. Like I believe I'm the same person, like whether I'm on screen or off screen, but not everyone is like that. And like I've been on dates where like I felt like I was in a therapy session with somebody. Like I've had like bad experiences because people have not been the same as what they were making out to be. So I think if it's a video, it's just that one step closer to real.
That.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had a really interesting conversation with a friend. She lives in the Ukraine, and she said her problem is the guy she swipes right on end up to be total heads. The guy she swipes left on, because I think the Ukraine has quite a small social community, so they get to see each other quite frequently. And the guy she swiped left on tend to be guys that actually, if she gave them a chance, more likely she would have probably gone for them. And I think with the current roster of apps, you don't get to see someone's personality. You know, we can all put together a nice bit of text, get our best angle on, but it says nothing about you. So I think people are wanting to come away from the whole persona into the real person space now.
Yeah, definitely. People do just you do go by image. When you've got pictures, you're lying. I'm sorry, you're lying if you go, oh no, it wasn't their picture that attracted me, it was just that one line in their bio. Come on, like, no. That's a lie. You're attracted to the photo. So yeah, Absolutely. You're just not wasting as much time, are you? That's the bottom line. You're just getting straight Absolutely. In. Love that. Also, imagine if you actually like listened to your mate forever and just never did this. Like, I think so many people listen to other people's opinions when it comes to business, and it's like the Mark Zuckerberg story. You know, when he asked 5 people to come to his uni room one day, and 3 of them said yes and 2 of them said no or something, and that was to create Facebook, and now they're all billionaires. Imagine being those others that didn't say yes.
They're probably still depressed somewhere in a hostel.
Yeah, exactly. Never listen to the opinions of others. Like, go with your gut always.
Absolutely.
Cool. So let's just touch on the coaching stuff a little bit more that's involved? Because I think that's a huge part, because I think so many people think they're ready to date, but they're not a lot of the time. And maybe they're not even aware of it sometimes. So yeah, what was like your thoughts behind that, like a little bit more, and what are you hoping to achieve a bit more? Like, if you can go into that a bit more.
Yeah, sure. So there was some really interesting research I came across. It was Europe-wide research around the mental states of relationships. And I hope I get the numbers right, but it's in this region. So they said that around 85% of relationships are subconsciously dysfunctional. 10% are around 10% of relationships are aware of their dysfunction and are yet to take action, and then the remaining 5% are actually investing in getting better at their relationship, whether that's through therapy, counseling, so on and so forth. So 85% is a huge number for particularly for a relationship to thrive. And so when I read that, I realized that we're going about dating all the wrong way. We're so focused on finding the one, but again, as I said, I don't think enough of us are taking a conscious effort to reflect and think, well, am I the right one? You know, am I that person that I'm looking for is looking for? And so as we spoke more to relationship coaches and hearing the kind of common denominator issues, we realized that this is a massive problem. And as I said, I think we're at an intersection where the stigma of counseling, therapy, even relationship coaching is starting to definitely reduce. And so we really wanted to build on this. So what we decided to do was partner with some of the UK's leading relationship coaches, who not only provide the content for our kind of Netflix style library of content you can access around different relationships, but you get one-to-one, you can access one-to-one online coaching with a variety of coaches that cover a wide spectrum of relational issues. So we structured it in a way there's pretty much a coach for every issue under the sun. And I think when you think about it, you know, if you're an athlete, you never hear of an athlete reaching to the top of his game without a coach. You never hear of a successful entrepreneur that hasn't had a mentor. Yet when it comes to our love lives, we just kind of winging it. And we all come with different relational patterns, emotional baggage, trauma, that we just kind of passing on from one relationship to another. And it's incredibly surprising that I don't think there's been a faster transition into people seeking this area. But as I said, it is starting to definitely mature in this space.
Yeah. Amazing. I think that's so true. And I think people tend to just blame others, don't they? Like, not even just in relationships. I think, you know, me and you, we've done a lot of work on ourselves. You know, we're already familiar with all this kind of stuff in terms of mindset and how the brain works and all that kind of thing. But like, a lot of people, if something goes wrong in their life, you just, and I'm guilty of still doing it sometimes, you just go, oh, it's that person's fault, or it's that person's fault, it's because of that, it's because of that. And you don't stop to go, well, actually, what could I have done differently, you know? So I think that's, yeah, I think that's really important.
Absolutely. I think that sometimes we forget that a lot of our world is just a reflection of what's narrative we're creating within ourselves and the dialogue we're having with ourselves. And even from my own dating experience, you know, I had a history of real short-term relationships and always putting it down to the ex being the psycho, forgetting actually there's one common denominator between all those psychos. You know, and it took like a good 10 to 12 years to figure that out. And you're right, I think we just live in a society where self-accountability is really low. and it's someone else's fault or it's external circumstances.
Yeah.
But I do believe there is a sea of change, and we hope that we can help people get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So what has been like, has there been anything like really surprising that has happened along your way of this app, this journey?
Yes, I think when we were doing the research, that was we had some startling findings. And the first one was when we were researching the different dating apps. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their name for legal.
You've definitely already said a few.
Rhyming with Linda. one rhyming with Linda said the statistics were that 42% of their users are already in a relationship or married, which is just crazy. And I think that was
that's mental.
That was one of the reasons why we felt that it's just absolutely nuts. But that's because you can set up a very incomplete profile on Tinder and start connecting with people. And so what we've done with Unavine is we've made it a very stringent process on how you onboard. So not only do you have to record a video for your profile, you need to have an ID, photo ID, and that our platform cross-references the video with the ID to make sure the person is who they say they are. One of the interesting things as well that I came across was this research that was done around speed dating, and it basically concluded that a lot of the time we actually don't know what we need. So we know what we want, but not essentially what we need. And it was by a famous psychology professor by the name of Dr. Eli Finkel. So they set up this speed dating event. Before the event, all the participants had to fill in a form to state their preferences of what they're looking for. The speed dating event goes ahead. They have all these cameras to capture all the movements, all the conversations, so on and so forth. The event passes, they follow up with the participants, I think 3 months later, to find out who had matched. And all the people that had matched, none of the partners they chose matched the description that they put on the form. Like in pretty much every case, it was completely different. And when they kind of went through the data, they went through the footage, what they found, there was a theory they were working with anyway, but what they found was that this term called dyadic interactions is actually more influential than what your preconceived idea of what you feel you'd be attracted to. So on the form, you might have put 6 foot, blue eyes, athletic build, so on and so forth. But what they found that attracted people together was the eye contact, was the body language, how that person sounded, how they spoke, the natural energy between them. It was those things that counted much more than what your preconceived idea is. And so when I came across that piece of research, I was like, it has to be video only. There's just no way we could go back. And so that was a pretty surprising find. And to back that up, a friend said there's guys that she would swipe left on Tinder, but seeing that guy on TikTok do some of the videos he does, I'll probably go out with him there. And so it just shows again that, you know, people are moving beyond this kind of persona experience.
Definitely. That's so interesting. It makes sense though. It makes sense. And it's like you hear of all these stories of like, there's so many stories with like girls and guys that end up together who like maybe have known each other for ages, and then like suddenly they get to know each other a little bit more, and then they're like, oh my god, we actually have all this stuff in common. It's got nothing to do with how they look, that attraction, it's just that vibe, isn't it? And I think that's definitely it's so important. It's so important.
100%. Our relationship coaches say that when a client comes to them and says, oh, I went on a date, I don't think they're my type, they said that's a usual sign that there's promise there.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because what the coaches find is that they're choosing partners based on their past preferences that haven't really worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute that they don't meet that qualifier, it already signifies that this actually could be a breakthrough for them.
Yeah. They say, don't they? They say if you've like been unsuccessful, try and find someone that's like just the opposite of what you actually think you want, and then you'll have it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are
Cool.
we brave enough for
Amazing.
that?
Huh?
Are we brave enough for that?
Yeah, I know. That's the question. That is the question. So, going back to the actual like process of the app. So, say someone that's watching this is interested. And they're like, right, this sounds good. What would be the process to sign up, and what would happen like once they're registered, and like how does it all work?
Sure. So when you first download the app, you will you'll actually be able to do a basic registration of your name and a few key details. You don't have to upload a video at that time. So you can enter with those details, go onto our app, and the first thing you'll see is our profile feed. So those would be all the recorded profiles of the matches that you have filtered. If there is someone that piques your interest and you want to request a match, it's at that point you would then need to create your own profile before the request can go through. So you'd need to record a video, a 10-second video introducing yourself. There are prompts to help you with creating a really good profile. You then need to verify that recording with a photo ID to make sure it is you. Once that's done, you are good to go. And so then you can request a match. Once you've matched with someone, again, we've kept it video only. So you can either send a video note, a video note, yeah, I think it's called video note, or you can schedule a video call with them at a different time. The second component is the content. So we have, as I said, a Netflix style library of relationship topics ranging from everything from how to go about your first virtual date, how to deal with ghosting for someone that you've really liked, down to really deep issues like past physical abuse, and everything in between. So we've created, a really great library that, as I said, meets pretty much most of the needs within the kind of relationship categories. And then the third and final component is the coaching. So maybe you've watched some content and there's a particular coach that you like and you feel like actually they can maybe help me with certain relational issues in my life, and you can book a session with them there within the app. So it's all sort of done on the platform. And so we feel like we've created this kind of really holistic approach to dating.
Cool. So you can use it kind of, I guess, as much or as little as you like. You could just go on and just do the matching, or if you want to go all out and do all of it, you've got access to all of it.
That's correct. And we've got other quirky features as well, such as live Q&As. One of the features we're going to have is live moderated dates. So you can actually watch two people on a live date being coached by a dating expert. And the idea is that those two people get better at going on dates and talking to people and reading people better, as well as the audience being able to learn tips themselves so that they don't have to kind of go through the same process.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, we've made it quite an interactive community rather than a sterile dating app experience.
Cool. Amazing. I've got a couple of questions I want to ask, just like more generic businessy. But
yeah, sure.
Before I do that, is there anything that the audience can do now in terms of the app that you want them to do, or that they can go and have a look at?
Yeah, so we're launching mid-March, and if you are interested, please do sign up, because your first month is absolutely free, bar the coaching. And if you just go to https://Unavine, UNAVINE.com, sign up there, you'll join the waiting list, and as soon as the app is released, we'll send you instructions. We know that video dating is very new for people as well. So I always say if you've got questions or you've got concerns, please feel free to reach out to us. You know, our details are on the website. We love having chats and happy to talk with anyone that still feels a little bit uncertain about the whole experience.
Cool. And I'll post your website underneath
Thank
this
you.
video as well.
We could have probably just went with that, right?
Yeah. Never mind.
Just watch me. Unavi.
Fine. Now they're really clear. They're really clear now, so it's better. Cool. Okay. So, in terms of business owners, so if there's someone watching this who maybe has an idea, because if I'm speaking from my mind right now, and I was like, I know, I want to create a dating app, right? That would scare the hell out of me. I would literally shit myself and be like, right, well, how the hell am I going to do that? So there's probably people watching this thinking, you know, they might have these big ideas, but they're thinking, well, how am I going to do that? That's not possible. That's not feasible. Blah, 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 blah. You know how the brain works. We chat rubbish ourselves. So what advice would you give for somebody who maybe has an idea, any kind of idea, big or small, and that just isn't taking those steps to starting to make that happen?
Yeah, sure. So I think it was a combination of passion, opportunity, and there was a lot of logic in what I did. So, you know, I've started companies purely on passion that have epically failed, put me in a lot of debt, and just because it was done with pure passion. And passion is definitely needed, but it does need to be tempered with some logic. And how we started Unavine was, again, just basic things, asking friends and family what they think. So what I did was I kind of collated the different views on what people thought about it. Obviously, in the beginning, everyone was just like, no. But then we had to become accustomed to video. And then obviously people started to warm to it. And so I started looking at kind of the feedback I was getting from friends and family. I then started to do my own research around the market so I can understand the market better. Am I in a declining market or is this a growing market? You can be successful in a declining market. It's just a lot more, it's harder work. So you gotta make sure that you put in good checks and balances to make sure you're in a good market. Because yes, I think you need to go after your dreams, but have a strategy behind what you're doing as well. So the passion is usually a good place to start, but it just needs to be kind of circumnavigated before you get to your final product. So the product we have today is not the product that we had when we first started, because we had to do a lot of market research. We ran focus groups. I was on the phone to people literally every night, asking people about their dating experiences, collating all that information. And then what I did is I then looked at, okay, from all this feedback we've got, what are the kind of two main problems we've got here? The first was the awkward date. So the person not living up to the text. So we knew that was an issue we can solve. The second was people felt like they needed help with the coaching. So drawing from those two findings, we said, okay, why don't we create a test product just using those two features? So it was very rudimentary in that this was us literally people sending us mobile videos and us sending it to other friends to see if they'd be interested. Okay. And it sounds really scrappy, but honestly, as a founder, you need to try and validate your assumptions before you spend money. And that comes from someone who's raised hundreds of thousands just because someone said, oh, that's a good idea, and not really testing, can this work in the market? Will people actually take money out of their bank and into yours? And so I always say test before you spend. So that's why we did it in such a rugged way. Once we realized that we're onto something, we said, okay, what's the cheapest way we can build this? So we built our first, what they call minimum viable product, tested that with users. And then once we got a flow of the features that were working, we then created our kind of version 1. So my advice, test everything as much as you can before you build. Don't spend great amounts of money and great amounts of time building a product that you haven't yet validated. You haven't found out if people, number one, are interested, and number two, are willing to pay for your product. And I say that with trauma rising up, because I've just been stung a couple of times building things that way. And your passion's important, but methodology is too.
Yeah, amazing. You know way more about the technical stuff than I do, but in terms of the passion, like, I totally agree. Like, I've got a couple of friends at the moment who, you know, they hate their jobs. They might be watching this now and this might literally inspire them. They hate what they do and they want to do their own thing, but then they're like, I don't even know where to start. And I said to them, I was like, what do you love doing? What do you love doing? And then they're like, oh, and a lot of people don't actually know what their passion is, which I find interesting, because I think a lot of the time you don't have to figure it out. If you've got a 9-to-5 job, if you just going by, you know, day to day, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and then you're going to the gym and then you're going out on the weekend, and it's like, you don't have time to think about it. So when someone asks you, well, actually, what is your passion? You don't always know. So I think that's the best starting point. Figure that out if you don't already know.
Yeah, I would go one step further. I don't believe that you find passion, you create it. When you look at all the captains of industries, none of them, Steve Jobs didn't one day wake up and say, do you know what? I want to build a technology company. He stumbled across his business partner, Wozniak. He saw an opportunity because someone came to him and said, can you build this computer for me? And it was off that opportunity that he then built Apple. And when you study, again, across all different industries, it's very rare that people just have a light bulb moment. I want to be a personal trainer.
Yeah.
You've got to try so many different things. Like, if you said to me 3 years ago, I'd be in the dating industry, I would think you're absolutely mental, because I was running a virtual reality company, which is just far from dating. But I just rolled the dice, tried a few things out, and now I wake up every day passionate about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And if I just kind of sat around waiting for the passion to just kind of blossom within me, I'd still be in a really struggling industry, you know, cranking 14 hours a day. And so there's a great book, Be so good they can't ignore you. And it deals with this particular issue of this misconception that you find passion. You don't find it, you create it. And that just comes from doing little projects here and there. And then one sticks. And then you think, I really like this one. And then you start to build that out.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. And I think, like, I'm the same as you. So I used to be, if you said to me 5 years ago, when I was out partying all night until 6 o'clock in the morning, that I was going to be a fitness and wellness professional in 5 years' time, I'd be like, yeah, all right, mate. I don't think so. I'd be like, yeah, I like the gym, but no. Do you know what I mean? And it just happened. It just happened.
How did it happen for you?
So I've always loved fitness. Like, I've always been into exercise, and like, I've always been into it, but never ever did I think I'd do it like professionally. And it was when I had my first personal trainer, which was maybe like, I don't know, 4 years ago. And I was like, oh, okay, it's actually quite interesting, but like still didn't do anything with it, didn't think anything of it. But I started, I think, subconsciously to like, the seed was planted, I think. And then my career back then was like events, marketing, hospitality, like that was my thing. And again, still loved like fitness, was always going to the gym. And even when I was out partying all night, I still went to the gym the next day. Like, that was just fine. So extra. But that's just how my life was. And yeah, so then time went on, and then I just started to get like a little bit more interested. And then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do, I just had a random thought to do the course, get the qualification. That was a bit of a light bulb moment, but it wasn't, the thought wasn't, I want to have this as a career. The thought was, I want the qualification to get the knowledge. That was the thought behind it. So I did that like 2 years ago. And then I literally just woke up one day and was like, I don't enjoy this whole event thing anymore. Like I was over it. I was bored of it. I was just, yeah, I just wasn't into it anymore. And then obviously COVID hit, and I thought, well, I had no choice. Events were out the window, like that wasn't happening. And I thought, right, let's go for it, see what happens. And yeah, spent the last year just building it basically. And here I am.
So perfect testament about creative passion.
Yeah.
And I was under the impression this is what you've been doing most of your career.
No. Yeah, you don't even know. That's all new to you. Yeah, no.
So, so there we go. So yeah, you know, to anyone that is sitting on the fence, figuring out what to do, just start anything. Like start from the most random place. And I promise you, life, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, eventually circumnavigates you to the thing that will make you tick. That much I can guarantee.
Yeah, definitely. And you will just realize one day what that is. Like even if you don't know now, like it will come. And I just want to add to that as well. Like I remember this was before I did like a lot of this work on myself. So a couple of years ago when I did this PT qualification, I was still quite concerned about what other people thought of me. Like I was still quite worried about other people's opinions. And I remember, now I literally could not care less, but back then I was like, I remember even like worrying about telling like my family, like, oh, what will they think? Like, they'll think that's so random. Like, why is she doing that? She's an event manager. Like, why is she going to go do that? She can't do that. Like, I fully had these thoughts. And like, when I look back now, if I could give myself advice, like, I would have just been like, go out and shout about it. Like, I think that's amazing that you want to change your career. Like, do what you want to do, follow your passion. And I think so many people don't do things because they're scared of what other people are going to say, and that holds so many people back. So many people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years now, probably over 20 years, and I still struggled with that when I started this new venture. Oh, look at Lee, what's he doing now?
Yeah.
And you know, and that kind of fear was definitely there, you know, to put myself out there. You know, I was in VR 3 years ago, and I felt like there was going to be a credibility issue, that I was flip-flopping. But you know, life is not linear, and you know, we definitely gotta we gotta catch the gut and the wave sometimes when change can be really rapid, and not to be afraid. And I definitely agree with you that, you know, that can slow you down so much. And I think if I had the, you know, the gumption to do it again, I should have just done it straight away. I'd be 2 years further down the line now if I just ignored what people thought.
Yeah.
And we'd probably, you know, we'd probably be a lot further because we would have had that first mover advantage in the market of being the first video only company. But it was fear that kind of slowed me down. However, you know, everything happens for a reason, and here we are, and it's a lesson learned.
Yeah, exactly. And also you would have learned so much over this last 2 years, as a person and whoever you're working with, you know. So yeah, everything happens at the right time. Cool. One last question.
Yes.
What are your top 3 books or audios that you would recommend?
First one, without blinking, The Untethered Soul. Absolute game changer. Michael A. Singer. I picked that book up at a time I had just terrible anxiety about life in general. This was maybe 4 years ago, 4 years ago. And that book is a game changer. So it's all about how you get back to the seat of consciousness where you're not allowing your external circumstances to become your identity. I think I've read that book 30 times since then, just absolute favorite. There isn't a second place, so I'm just going to think about the book that comes to mind. I think, just to stay in theme of what we're talking about today, definitely So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport, just around creating passion. There's a fallacy that passion arrives in this moment of glory. It doesn't. You really do create it. And that book gives you practical steps to get there. The third, in personal development or business?
Give me 4. Give me another 2.
Okay. So I would say personal, working with the law. So joining the TIR group, that was recommended, and this sits on my desk every day. Like, I learn literally something from this every day. And the fourth, I'd say, business book is by a gentleman called Jim Collins, called Good to Great. So how you build a successful company that lasts for generations, and that doesn't require you to be there. So I think we're in an age where sort of founder-centric, brand-centric founders rule the company. And he talks about building a company that you can step away from for 2 years, come back, and it's grown 4 times. So that's kind of that's one of the business Bibles, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are my 4 too. You read those and you implement them, you'll be a billionaire. I'll expect my 20% commission.
I'm going to read them all again. I've read some of them.
All right, this is recorded, by the way.
Love that. Cool. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to say before we go? And also let us know where we can find you on social media.
Sure. So thank you for having me. I've had a blast. This has been really cool.
You are welcome.
Just kind of sharing with you and finding out a bit more about you as well, and kind of, you know, validating about passion. You can find me pretty much anywhere. Well, not anywhere. That's a lie. So Lee Hazzard, you find me on Facebook. I'm pretty open. You can add me there. LinkedIn, Instagram under Unavine app. And I'm happy to connect. Love striking up new conversations, meeting new people. So yeah, feel free to get in touch.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you so much. We'll have to do, I think we'll need to do another live at some point, like just about business and mindset, because otherwise
I'd love to. Yeah,
we'll be here for hours. So we'll get that sorted.
I'm holding you to that.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Lee.
Cheers now, Lee. Take care.
See you soon. Bye. Thank you. Bye.